Welcome back, listeners. My name is Larry Kalvig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. And if you're just tuning in, you are listening to the Haven Financial Group radio show, where every week we discuss all kinds of crucial retirement and financial topics that can make or break the difference in your retirement years, the golden years, as we call it. Again, it's good to have Kyle Thomas, certified financial planner on the investment team with us to talk about next the Federal Reserve and continued inflation and what we think they might do next.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us have been watching really closely the Federal Reserve. And obviously, the Fed meets a couple of times a year. We have seen certainly interest rates go up, and now we are seeing them start to decline. This has been Jerome Powell, who is the chair. Everyone hangs on every word that he has to say to make determinations on Wall Street. And this has been an effort to make a soft landing from what has been, this inflationary state. Let me ask both of you first. Are we making a soft landing? There were times in this that it looked like it could happen, then other times that it looked like it could not. Where do you think we stand when it comes to the Federal Reserve and what they've done to try to curb inflation?
Mm-hmm. I think things look good. I'll put it, it's hard for us to really project out what is going to happen for the next couple of years. From a couple of years ago, everyone was anticipating that we would have some kind of recession. Those recession risks have ebbed and flowed, and now, they're kind of being cut back a little bit. But the real answer is, we don't really know because there's so many unknown factors as well. And, some of that's tariffs. Some of that is inflation and, what happens with the interest rates and, what the policy is going to be going forward on that. But right now, the employment year over year for June actually increased. So, that's a good thing. Employment increased. So the unemployment decreased. So that's a positive aspect right there for our economy. But it's also giving the Fed reasoning for not to lower rates. And rates are still fairly high right now, which the Fed is trying to limit how much spending there is in the U.S. right now, because when they start to cut rates, then they're trying to open up the spending for the country here. And so there's a lot of unknown factors, and that's also part of the reason why I think that the Fed hasn't done anything. But who knows? This year we're anticipating about 2 more cuts, September and then either October or December. Right,
and those would be 0.25 basis points in total, right? Or will that be per each time?
0.25 each time.
Yeah. Okay.
Each time. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, they're projected to 2 more, a quarter point each time.
Yep.
And if you watch the news at all, you can see that Powell and President Trump don't necessarily, or they're not necessarily on the same page. The president wants to reduce rates because the borrowing costs for the United States are just out of control. So we'll see what the rift between them happens. Anything's possible, but I agree with Kyle. The markets have been good. All the volatility we've seen, the markets are up for the year. They are, and actually, a decent amount. So the economy, I still think, is strong. We're still the United States of America, and you know what? There's all kinds of fear factors out there and all kinds of negativity, but overall, I think we're still in a good position.
So, Kyle, we've talked about the Fed now and, all these things that are happening in Washington and kind of the rift between the president and the chair and these rate cuts that most likely will still occur this year. I guess the question for most people who are listening is, okay, yeah, that's all great and fine, but how does this impact me? So let's talk a little bit about these rate cuts and how that impacts someone who is close to retirement or in retirement right now.
Well, the interest rates directly impact bonds, and many retirees are invested in bonds. So right now, especially if they were purchasing bonds in the last couple of years, they were yielding a pretty good rate. Or even if you're in money markets, those were at 5% a year ago. Now those are a little below 4%. But that's a good interest rate that people were getting that they won't be getting most likely here in the future, especially if rates are cut like we are expecting them to be. And also, I'll note that Jerome Powell's seat is up in May of next year, and the president appoints that chair. So he's probably going to appoint someone who's aligned with him in wanting to cut rates. So that could make that transition go a little faster at some point if things don't change this year yet. But anyway, so the interest rates on bonds deeply impact the money that retirees get into their accounts and their spending money. So that's something that we want to pay attention to, and maybe it makes sense to adjust to some other type of investments, because there are other investments out there that give you yield and higher yield even, and they don't carry as much risk sometimes as the price fluctuation as bonds do. Because remember, when rates went up, bonds were down like 10% or so in 2022. So that there is sensitivity with bond pressures in there. And if rates don't necessarily come down this year, that could even produce worse performances with bonds themselves still this year. So it's just important to keep in mind everything that you're invested into, and bonds do carry some risk. So it's important for people to know that.
So in an effort to mitigate maybe some of the issues that are facing retirees during this recessionary time, and certainly while the Fed is slowly bringing rates down, you say maybe you need to get out of bonds and go into other areas. What would some of those areas be? What would you suggest?
Well, there's some fixed products out there that give you a fixed rate no matter what. So there's one that we have. It's with a company here local in Minneapolis, and they're giving 8% that we're allocating to in our portfolios. 8% in 1 year, and then about 4.5% in the second year. And so in total, after 2 years, you're getting 6% annually about from those 2 years, which is an incredible return. And then now that return is generating compounding interest for you for the rest of your time. So there's other products out there like that can really enhance your portfolio and provide extra income without having downside, because you can also not lose in those types of products.
Kim, there's no doubt it's a balancing act with the Federal Reserve, and we can speculate this and we can speculate what's going to happen with this decision. But in reality, your overall retirement financial plan should be constructed by appropriately to weather these risks, whether they're up and down, the good weather, the bad weather, no matter what the markets are doing, no matter what happens. Your plan should adapt to these types of things, assuming you have a plan. If you're listening and don't have a plan, well, let's start by getting a plan.
Right.
Give us a call. If you don't know what your plan is or haven't looked at it, because we find every week that they work with somebody and then a year passes and they haven't talked to them since. Well, out of sight, out of mind, you're paying somebody to give you the attention you deserve. And if you don't feel you're getting the attention, well, we want to make sure that people have the confidence. There's no quota as to how many times we get together with clients, especially in these volatile times. So if that rings a bell with you and you're lacking confidence and you're only getting together to talk retirement once a year, you deserve more attention, and we can give you more attention.
Absolutely. Especially during these volatile times, you should be meeting more frequently. If nothing else, Larry, just to get a good night's sleep, right? You just need to know for that reason. So give the folks at Haven Financial Group a call. The number is 612-504-8400. Maybe you're working with someone else and you're not getting the kind of attention you need. Maybe you're thinking about retirement, but don't have a really strong plan in place. You've been doing it on your own. And now during these volatile times that maybe some expertise and some professional help would be a great way to go about it. Or maybe you're looking 10 and 15 years down the road, but you need to get started. Give them a call at Haven Financial Financial Group, 612-504-8400. You can also go to their website. It's havenfinancialgroup.com. Be sure you check out some of their educational classes that are coming up, and we'll have Larry talk more about that in just a few minutes. But you can also learn more about Haven Financial Group there at havenfinancialgroup.com. We are talking about inflation and how it affects retirees and it affects your finances, period. And when we come back, we're going to talk about inflation fighting strategies that you may want to consider. This is the Haven Financial Group Radio Show.